My name is Chelsea Kelly, and my traditional name is Mitsoe. I am from the Stalo Nation, whose home is in the Fraser Valley on my dad's side, and English on my mum's. I grew up in what is now called Vancouver, on the traditional unceded territories of the Musqueam, Tsleil-Waututh, and Squamish peoples. I have had the privilege of being a guest on the traditional unceded territories of the Lekwungen-speaking peoples since 2008, where I have had the opportunities to learn and grow as a person, as a wife, as a mother, as a social worker, and as a community member. It is important to me to acknowledge the interconnectedness of our communities with each other and with the land. So I would also like to acknowledge our 9 neighboring nations in southern Vancouver Island. The Songhees and Esquimalt peoples who are hosting us on their lands today, the Malahat, Pachidat, South Sianu, and the 4 communities on the peninsula that make up the Wasanich peoples, Pakwachin, Sayout, Sarlet, and Sekum. I'd like to echo what Shaylee shared in their introduction to the rally, that we cannot separate social justice issues into silos. So I am inviting each of you to consider the ways in which you can decolonize your own thinking and actions as you listen to the stories that are shared today. VIVED is not only an opportunity every year for us to stand with our community and mourn those that we have lost, but also to advocate for the changes that could have saved their lives or at least increased their quality of life during their time here. We all know that change takes time, but we cannot move forward in a good way without continuous, actionable steps being taken every day by every person who has an impact on service delivery at every level, from friends and family, the relevant health authorities and ministries, as well as those in positions of political decision-making power. All of these steps can only take place by listening and learning from people with lived and living experience, and centralizing our voices at all levels of service delivery decisions, as we are the ones who know our stories best and have the wisdom and the capacity to know what we need. The current treatment options are not meeting our needs, and we are asking for help at elevating our voices so that every person struggling with an eating disorder has access to the treatment that will meet their individual needs and goals. Some of our most urgent asks are for adult eating disorder services to be moved out of the Ministry of Children and Family Development, for a substantial and continuous funding source for comprehensive, person-centered, team-based care, for in-person services that reach those at all stages and levels of readiness and recovery, inclusive of harm reduction options, collaborative approaches that place people with lived and living experience at the center of their care, moving away from the colonial and carceral treatment approaches that are still widely used to treat eating disorders without high levels of success. Meaningfully trauma-informed treatment, accessible by all people, including some of the most marginalized groups, such as LGBTQ community, Indigenous peoples, older adults, and people of color. Why are we concerned? As Shaylee shared, over the last year, we met with senior officials in MCFD and Island Health, but they have since declined further collaboration, citing concerns with conflict of interest and privacy in September 2023. Commitment to follow up with VIVED to further flesh out these concerns has not been followed through on to date. VIVED has remained available to consult with Island Health and government, yet no persons with lived or living experience were consulted during the most recent request for proposals that resulted in TELUS Communications being awarded the contract to provide services accessible only through an app. VIVED is not endorsing the new services offered by TELUS, although we encourage anyone to seek healing in the way that supports them, and we continue to be open to collaboration around the creation of more inclusive and person-centered treatment options. Meaningful consultation has to come before decisions are made, and we have many ongoing concerns with the new contract that may have been mitigated if consultation and, in fact, collaboration had taken place with peoples with living experience. Some of our concerns include the access to this service. You must already be involved with the South Island Eating Disorders Program to be able to get a referral. In order to get referred to the South Island Eating Disorders Program, you have to have a GP to refer you. The South Island Eating Disorders Program does not treat binge eating disorder, leaving those with binge eating disorder out of any eating disorder specific services. The intake process for getting into the South Island program once the referral is received can be lengthy. You have to go through a readiness program followed by a intake, and then it will be determined whether or not you can receive services. And at that point, you may be referred to TELUS, or you may be left without services at all. We also have concerns about the accessibility of an app-based program. First of all, you must have a tablet or a phone to access the service, which is something that not everybody has access to, and privileges those of us who are not experiencing inaccessibility issues such as poverty, homelessness. Feedback from our community members have also included concerns that they were not made aware of their file with MCFD being closed once they were referred to the TELUS program. South Island eating disorder patients were also not asked to sign a consent form for release of information collected by MCFD, or told how it will be shared. We have concerns about the personal information that is shared then with Island Health. It creates a client number and relays it back to TELUS. There is a greater potential for privacy breach to occur when clients cannot give informed consent to have their info shared with Island Health. Lastly, we are concerned with the misinformation provided by the previous MCFD Minister Mitzi Dean in a written response to Adam Olsen about treatment for adults. We are hopeful that the new minister, Grace Lore, will take the opportunity to connect with VIVED and to correct some of these pieces of misinformation that have impacted our ability to access meaningful services. Does anybody have any questions?
We'll save it for the press conference.
Okay, those questions are going to be saved for the press conference following this event.